Hello, hi everyone. If you don't know me already, that's me and my little artist booth. I created this artist booth at the beginning of the pandemic out of cardboard that was in my garage. And I had a lot of yellow paint. And what I did was, you'll see there's some of my artwork. I created it and I put it at the end of my driveway, and I put my artwork on my front lawn, and I made a drive-by museum because I thought, well, we're going to need art, but now everything's closed down. So how are we going to see art? So I'm very silly that way. And it worked. People drove by in their cars and it was a lot of fun. But anyway, you'll see me for real. Right now, you're just going to see my fingers as we work on our project. But this is me, and I'll flip around my camera at the end so that we can chat face to face. So before we begin, I just want to show you that I have a lot of art that I make, and that I'm not just a lettering artist, I'm also a watercolor artist. And so I'm going to show you some of those pieces. These are little tiny copies of them. These aren't the actual pieces. And as you can see, I'm an illustrator and I see I'm getting some glare. Let me try to fix that. An illustrator and a watercolor artist. I paint a lot of animals. I paint a lot of whimsical things. Lots of pictures that include children. It was my fondest wish to be a children's book illustrator. And so I do have a book that I have published. But anyway, so you're getting the idea that I hope that you're in capable hands, that I'm an actual real life artist and I love to teach, of course. And these are just some of my watercolors. But now, the reason you are here today is for Calligraffiti. So what is Calligraffiti? What you're seeing here is a scripted hand that was done with a marker. So this is the beginning of Calligraffiti. This is like the foundation. We're going to learn how to draw these letter forms, but then we're going to amp it up a bit. We're going to add graffiti elements. So the first piece you saw was copperplate calligraphy, which is a scripted hand, just like this is here. And we combine those two words, calligraphy and graffiti, to make Calligraffiti. And so here, like the graffiti artists, we add shadows, we add highlights to the insides of our letters, and we add embellishment. So what it ends up looking like is something bigger. So you can't really see this all the way through, but you can see it really takes a word and makes it pop and makes it special. There's flourishing. There's, again, working with shadows and shading with inside the letters, and then any kind of embellishment that you want to do. So our project today, oh, I guess it looks like I have a couple more samples. So this again is this scripted hand of Calligraffiti, and I just put little like webs there, like it was the web of time. And then of course I always have to add a child for Dream On. And this is really good to show you right away. This piece combines both copperplate calligraphy, which you've seen probably on every single wedding invitation that's ever come into your mailbox. It is this scripted hand called copperplate calligraphy is also on the Constitution. So it's a very formal and lovely early form of lettering. And what we did is we just amped it up. So this and this are the same. What's different is that this is the graffiti elements. We're going to be adding these things at the bottom of our work today. These are called dangles. But what you're seeing here is absolutely the same thing that our ancestors used. This is copperplate calligraphy. Same thing as this. So when we learn calligraffiti, this is a gateway to learn how to do this, because both styles are made with pressure. I'll show you what I mean. So let's take a look at our guideline sheets. I've numbered the pages. So this is your page 1. It says Calligraffiti Guidelines. And then you're going to see 8 shapes. Let me see if I can squeeze that one in too. And all the shapes have a name, except the O. We just call it the O. And all the lowercase letters of the alphabet are based on these 8 shapes. So initially, we're not even writing letters. We're only interested in perfecting how to make these shapes. And what you may notice about the shapes is that there's thin lines and there's thick lines. And the way you get the thin and thick line is by using your marker and putting pressure on it. And we're going to start that in about 1.5 minutes. But first, I want to go through all of your Calligraffiti guideline packet. So here is page 1, which gives you the basic shapes. And towards the rest of the bottom, you will see bracketed areas. You see here and here, and they mimic this bracketed area here, which in calligraphy is called the X height. It's called the X height. We don't use it in copperplate, but it's important to know that. Don't even worry about having to memorize any of this stuff. But we're going to be working within this bracketed area, also known as the X height, when we start making our marks. I'm going to pull this to the side for a minute because I want to get on to page 2. And there's page 2 at the top. And you'll see Calligraffiti Guidelines and a bunch of letters. So these letters are the letters that are represented on this page, page 2. It teaches you how to make the letters based on those simple shapes. And again, we can't get to every single letter today, but we will get to all the letters in the word peace. But when you leave today, you will have an understanding how to make, for example, we're not going to make the G today, but you can refer back to the sheet to see, oh, that's an entrance stroke. You're going to learn that in a minute. This is the shape O. This is the shape, this is a descender loop. And when you put them all together, you get a G. And I'm going to teach you again how to do all that. But because we can't get to each letter today, I just wanted to let you know you have the capacity now. You'll be able to make them on your own because in a minute you're going to understand it. Okay, so that's page 2. Page 3 of your Calligraffiti guideline packet, again, has a bunch of letters. And that corresponds, that shows you how to make these letters. And you're going to laugh in a minute because it's all based on the same shapes. And if I had been taught cursive like this as a child, I definitely wouldn't have had a C- in penmanship. But I learned this way, and I think you'll find it's very simple also. Calligraffiti guideline packet, page 4. Whoops, there's the 4. Here are the letters that correspond to making these letters. It shows you how to create these letters. And then finally on page 5, Calligraffiti guideline sheet, page 5. Here are the letters. And this is what you will learn. Once you complete this page, you will have learned all the lowercase letters of the alphabet. It's not hard and it's a lot of fun. So now page 6 is the capitals. The capitals, I don't break down how to make them. I usually just demo them according to the project. For example, here's the L. If, for the program that day, we're learning how to do love, I teach how to make a capital L. So, yeah, but you still have 2 pages of capitals. So again, you can refer to them after today. If you want to try doing your name or loved ones' names, you now have it. Page 8 is the most important one, and it's the blankest. That's because this is your worksheet. This is the sheet that you're going to be coming to practice on. We don't want to practice on our Calligraffiti guideline sheets, even though there's space to do it around. If you do that, you'll just mess it up and you'll just be like, wait, what am I looking at? So we keep these copies nice and clean, and this is the one we make the most copies of. And if you didn't make a lot of copies of this today, it's okay. You're not going to need it because we're only doing one word today, peace. Okay? And so here it is. I know within 45 minutes, you guys are going to be doing this. It's going to be completed. It almost seems impossible. And I sound like a used car salesman every time I tell this to a class, but I'm telling you, we're going to get there very quickly. I teach children and they're there in an instant. They have no fear or judgment. So this is our project today. And inside your packet, you will also see you had the word peace. I believe you also had the word believe, and I forget the other word. But our word today is peace. After our workshop today, if you want to try doing those other words, illuminating them, you go right ahead. I hope to ignite a fire in you today to fall in love with this art form. Okay, so let's discuss our materials. I'm going to ask you to pull out your guideline sheet, page 8, and page 1, which has those shapes right in the front. We're not going to write on them yet. I just want you to look at your marker. So hopefully you all have a dual brush marker. Now, in terms of materials, the Tombow dual brush marker is like state-of-the-art fantastic. It also works as a watercolor. So the reason it's so expensive, if you found that, is because it's a really excellent quality. But you can also use, there's at Michael's Arts and Crafts, I don't work for anybody, by the way, I'm just telling you materials, what you can get, is a company by Michael's Arts and Crafts called Artist's Loft. They're usually a little less expensive, and they're terrific to work with also. And they have the exact same characteristics as our Tombow dual brush marker does, because this is a dual brush marker as well. So what does that mean, dual brush? It means there are two. There's two. So if you don't mind, open up the bright colored part of your brush marker, and you will see there's a brush side. Then we're going to close it up, and we're going to flip to the other side. There's usually a ring of color that corresponds to the color of the ink that's on inside. We're going to pop that open, and look at that. You got two markers in one. This is called a bullet nib. It gives what's called a monoline. A monoline just means a straight line. There's no, you can't get any thick or thin lines out of it by using pressure, but you sure can with your brush marker side. And that's where we begin. So I think I'll actually demo with an Artist's Loft, so you'll see this is just as good. And I'll do our project with the Tombow. So for now, just grab any color, and you're going to take your Calligraffiti guideline sheet, put it on your table in front of you. If you are right-handed, you want to tip your paper to the side this way. If you are left-handed and you're sitting in front of the table, you're going to tip your page this way. The angle really helps the way that you sit at the table. Now, because I'm not in the classroom with you, if you can, oh, by the way, I'm a right-handed calligrapher, so I will be demonstrating this way. But if you are a left-handed calligrapher and you have any questions, I will tip my paper and do my best to imitate it on the left side with my left hand. Okay. But if you are sitting at the table, I don't want you slumping. Again, I'm not in the classroom to say, oh, let's use proper posture. The reason calligraphers use proper posture is because we're at the table a long time. And so you'll just start getting achy, and your neck will hurt, and your fingers will get tight. So sit up properly. Don't let your hand rest on your cheek. I know there are times I want to do that as well, but it's best to be sitting up properly, facing your desk. Tip your paper to the right or to the left, and let's start. Here we go. Open your marker. This is like on your marks, get set, go. We're going to start way down here with the Petal Push. We have space on this guideline sheet to do some, you can write on this one. So I'm going to go again to, remember that bracketed area? That goes right here. So I'm going to work right here. Petal Push is our first shape. So what does that mean, a petal push? Well, the beautiful thing about your marker is when you just put your marker down and you pick it up, look what's left, a little petal. Isn't that lovely? So to do a petal push, what you're going to do is you're going to put your marker down, make sure, oop, yep, I got the petal. The reason you want to see that petal is because you see how thick it is from here to here? That's how thick we want to make this line. You're like, wait, well, how am I going to make it? It looks like it's very pointy. You're going to rest your hand, if you're right-handed, on down on the horizon line. You don't want to hold your pen up like this. You don't even want it at this angle. You want it at a very low angle. So my pinky is resting on the page, and this is a low angle. So now I put down my petal, and then I'm gonna, well, I think it should be called petal pull, but it is called a petal push. Petal push. Yeah, it makes noise. And look at how nice and thick that is all the way down. What I don't want to see is this. Petal push. Oh, I ran out of steam. Nope. We need a nice thick line all the way through. Your markers can take it. They're built for this. So let's do it again. Petal push. Give it the business. Go right down and be brave and give it some energy. What this teaches us is about the pressure that we're going to need to make our thick lines in our pen strokes. Okay, do you understand that part? Did we all do it? Okay, let's move on. Now let's move our page. So this was the last shape, but now we're going to move to the beginning of the line of shapes here. This is called our entrance stroke. And the entrance stroke, if you notice, is thin compared to the thickness of the petal push. That's right, because with the petal push, we came down hard to get that pressure. Now we're going to come here to the entrance stroke, and we're going to use very light pressure to go up. So again, working in the bracketed area, here I go, light pressure. That's all it is, and it's a bit on an angle. In fact, if you notice, all of these shapes are on a slant. And if you allow your pen, again, to rest comfortably on the page at a low angle, not a high angle, not even here, but low, you will be able, the pen will assist you in making these shapes. So that's your entrance stroke. Now we're going to go to the next shape, which is called an overturn. The overturn begins at this bottom line, just like the entrance stroke did. And this line is called the base line. Think of it as base or bottom. So we start here with light pressure, come up, hard pressure as you come down. And that's the overturn. And if you notice, this is thin, this is thick. Thin because I went up with light pressure, then right about here, I pushed down really hard to get a thick line. If I were to show you, like to make little tiny dots about the angle that this is on, look what's right there. You see that triangle? That triangle is important because this shape is part of a letter form. And so in the fancy words, we say it's part of the integrity of the letter form. But that's true. It's the integrity of the letter form. And if we don't have that little triangle there, our letter won't look good. In fact, this is part of the letter M. I know it doesn't look like it yet, but when it grows up, it will. And I'm going to show you. Okay, so that's the overturn. The next shape is the underturn. So we went over. Now we're going to go under. And the way we make the underturn is we put down that petal push, and right here, we pull back and come up lightly with light pressure. Pedal, push down with hard pressure, come up with light pressure. Right here, you're going to feel your hand shake because you're going to go, wait. I just put down hard pressure. How am I going to pull back? That's what you're going to do. You're going to learn to pull back. You'll watch when my hand does it. You are building muscle memory, just like when you were a kid and you were learning your letters, and it took concentration. Your whole body has to labor, to get these things right. You will. So here's the underturn. Watch as I do it. Pedal, push down, light pressure as you come up. There's the underturn. And you see that angle there? That's important too. You can see it here. So just press the marker down. It'll automatically give you that angle. You didn't know it was so tricky, right? But look, you're almost done. All we have is 4 more shapes, and then we're writing peace. I know. Used car salesman, that's what I sound like. Okay. Compound curve is next. We're starting at the baseline. We're going up to the waistline. That's what this top line is called. Think of it as your waist, halfway, up your body. So light pressure. We're going to come around. Hard pressure as we come down. Light pressure as you release and you go up again. When you practice these, and I hope you will, these are called doing your drills. When you do these shapes over and over and over again. It is repetitive. Learning calligraphy is a technical pursuit. We're going to apply our creativity, but we have to get the foundation right first. So the compound curve. Oops, can you see? Light pressure, hard pressure, light pressure. And looky here. Again, if I put that line, if I put a guideline, there's a triangle there and a triangle there. And that'll let you know that you have to, just as you come across over the crest here, you have to start pushing down, and right about here, you have to start pulling up. If you don't feel very coordinated right now, don't worry. This is a hard thing to learn. Light pressure, hard pressure, light pressure. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Just like, you know, your family told you, practice makes perfect. 3 shapes to go. And we really need to know this shape because this is the foundation of the letters that we're learning today in peace. So the way that you make this O is you actually start about 1/4 of the way down from the waistline. See that little dot? The O doesn't start at the top here. It starts right down there because we need a thin line here. We make a thin line, very light pressure going over to the left. And then right at the top here, we're going to start adding hard pressure, light pressure come up. You do not need to add that yet because although it is an O, it's actually in other shapes as well. For example, to make an A, you do an O and then you put an underturn right next to it and you have an automatic A. I know, it's like magic. Okay, so just make the O. Let me show you again. 1/4 of the way down, light pressure as you just come up to the side, and now you do have to give it a little finesse and add some hard pressure, and then stop again and come to the top. Notice the negative space. This is an oval. It's not a circle, it's an oval, and it's laying on its side, right? It's still on that nice angle. 2 shapes to go. Ascender loop. Ascender loop is called an ascender because it goes above the waistline. And people think this is the P. It actually has nothing to do with the P. It's the top of the H. You're going to see. Anyway, so we start at the top and we make light pressure going up, hard pressure as you come down. Sort of looks like a needle, you know, that you would sew with. It looks like you would put a little needle through there. So that is the ascender loop. I'll do it again. Light pressure, hard pressure. Don't be afraid to give it a lot of pressure. Keep it on an angle. I know it's like I just put you on a horse and we're galloping through, but I want to get to your project. So here's the descender loop. Notice again that there's that lovely angle. The angle is made by putting down the petal push. The descender loop goes below the baseline. Is it a J? Yes, it's a J, but it's also in the G, and you'll see some other letters as well. So all we're going to do, petal, push, go on a journey, on an angle, let go, come on up. And that is your descender loop. And with that, you're really ready to learn about the E, the A, the C, right? Those are the 3 letters, yes. So I'm going to show you how to form them now. If you go back to your guideline sheets, remember these guys here? You can find how to make them. So here's the C. I'm going to do it independently. I'm just going to use this piece of paper, but there's the C. Let's see, what page is our? There's the A. We're going to be learning that. And there's the E. Okay, so let me show you how to make those letters. To make the A, again, we use an entrance stroke plus an O plus an underturn, and that will equal an A. Let's try that together. Half an entrance stroke. Don't go all the way to the top because then we'll wreck that little circle part. Come down here because we're going to make an O. We're not thinking about making an A. We're just thinking about making an O. Make your O. Now I'm thinking about, I would like this to be an A. I'm going to put an underturn right next to it. There's the underturn. There's the O. There's the half an entrance stroke. And you just made a beautiful A. And you'll make a beautiful A every time. And those triangles will show up. Remember I said we need that for the integrity of the letter form? There it is. Now it takes practice to do that. That's okay. We'll have a little time in a minute. So let me show you how to make the E. Actually, we'll start with the C. Both the C and the E are based on the O. Here's what I mean. To make a C, we make half an entrance stroke, then we come right over here. We're going to make a little tiny ball, and now we're going to pretend we're making an O. Well, you know how to do that. That's the O, right? If I continued up here, can you see there's your O? But instead, I'm actually going to pull this out and go to the side, and I'll make a C. But let me show you with another color that C is based on an O. You see it? In fact, all of our letter shapes, you'll see within the shapes are based on each other. That's what gives it its uniformity and its aesthetic, really. Okay, so that's the C. I'm going to do that again. Half an entrance stroke. Come right over here, make a little ball, make a little light line going to the left, hard pressure down, light pressure up, thin, thick, thin. And that's your C. For the E, it's the same thing. You're only just going to add this little part here. And again, you see, there's the O in there. So piece of cake. This is why I'm saying you guys are going to be like great calligraphers in minutes. Here we go. Half an entrance stroke. To make the E, come right over here. Put a little dot. You see there's a little bit of space here. Light pressure up. Hard pressure down. Now, if you kept going up, you'd make an O. But nope. Just like with the C, we're going to come to the side. Last letter to learn to do peace. Guys, we have an entire half hour. I'm telling you, you're going to have time to practice and you're going to do a beautiful project. So to make the P, the capital P in peace, we're going to make a little ball. Just, oh, let me show you where I am. So if here's the bracketed area, this is the bottom of the baseline. There's the waistline. I'm going up until, I don't know what this line is called. The extra line. We'll call it the extra line. You're going up towards the extra line, okay? Because you're going to make a hook. Just like that. Looks like a little snail or an S on the move. Hook, pull it down, end it with a little ball. Now you're going to make, for your project, I gave you a double looped P because I wanted you to dazzle your families so that you can show them, wow, look at how amazing I am. But the double loop is hard to learn. So I'm going to start with the single loop so you'll understand it. The single loop, you know what, I'm going to do it in pencil first. I call it the brain. Nobody else calls it the brain. I just call it that because it looks like a brain to me. It starts here and it curves around and ends here. Doesn't that look like a brain sort of to you? Well, I don't know if you're laughing or not, if you're like, oh, I have a silly teacher. If it doesn't look like a brain, at least you can see it has an oval. Look at that, like a little egg. Okay, so now let me fill it in blue for you, and you can try it yourself. It starts up here, light pressure, hard pressure. With the capitals, we don't worry so much about where we put our light and hard pressure because the capitals sort of break the rules. The lowercase letters do not. Okay, so that's a P. I want you to be generous with this curvy part, with the brain part, because if I put this letter in a box, look what's going on. I could almost divide it in half, and this is big, right? There's a little bit of stuff going on here, but this is big, and this is small over here. So sometimes people, when they make the P, I see this. It's too squishy here. I want you to make it big. And then it looks like it's sailing. And you know what? One of the ways you can remember is sort of line it up with where you end with the bottom of your P. See this? Yeah, actually, that's the first time that occurred to me. So that's the P. I'm going to do the double P for you really quickly. And then we're going to do our project. Do you feel ready? Do you feel worried? Don't feel worried. Feel excited. Okay. So the double P works like this. The exact same way you make that first long hook and end with a ball. Here's what I just taught you. I taught you the brain. That's the brain P. The double P goes like this. Same thing. Now we're going to do a small loop into a big loop. So your first loop is here, and then it cuts across. It started here, went in here. No, this is like, it did what? Let me show you again. It went by very fast, didn't it? It's because sometimes as a calligrapher, I do have to move fast, but when teaching, I have to break it down. So here's the first loop. It looks like that. Now this loop has to cut across here. Cut across and land on the other side. Terrifying or exciting? Your call. Let's do it again. And also, guys, you're going to have the template. You can trace over it. I am a big component of tracing. So there, it starts with one ball, and now this ball is going to cut across and come around to safety on the other side. Okay? Are we there? Are we alive? Okay, we're alive. So now what I'd like you to do is find the word piece on your project page. I'm just taking a blank piece of paper because I'm going to do it sort of freehandish, I guess you could say. But you guys can definitely use the template, and you can take your template. Here, I'll demonstrate. Take your template and just take a plain piece of copy paper. Right now, I advocate not working with very expensive papers for your lettering. Certainly not while you're learning, because this is good enough. This is just copy paper from Staples. And it's not even like the shiny stuff. It's a $3.99 pack. Okay, so now I took the piece of paper, I put it over the word piece. I hope yours printed out dark enough. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do our project right over it. Initially, I'm going to do it here, but then I'm going to do it on another piece of paper because I want to show you something else. But first, you may want to grab a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, that's fine. You can just take another piece of paper. You can take one of your guideline sheets. In fact, I'll do it that way so you can see. What I'm suggesting is that you put your pencil guidelines on your paper so you can really see it. And I want you to see it on mine because, you know, I'm demoing it and I don't know if it's dark enough for you guys to see. So see, I just used the edge of the top of one of the guideline sheets, and there's a perfectly serviceable line. Now I'm going to go below where I see the lines are right here. And I'm going to take my pencil. Remember, I did it dark. You can do it light. I did it dark so you can see what I'm doing. You may not need them at all. But if you do need the security of it and you need it dark, remember, you can erase it at the end. And so, welcome to Calligraffiti piece. I'm going to be doing my piece in 2 different shades of green. You can use whatever colors you want. But if you only have one marker, that's fine too. But if you want to learn some of the graffiti elements, one of the things they do is shadows and shading. And the shadows and shading look really cool when you have 2 colors that are really close together. And you'll see why in a minute. So say you have 2 blues, or here. These would look beautiful together. Look at that. There's like a blue, like a turquoise blue and another turquoise blue, a bit darker. So, and again, that's one of the things that makes it look like graffiti. So if you have 2 colors that you like, start with the lighter color first, because we're going to add the darker color on top. So let me show you what to do. You've put down your marks, you know, your guidelines. You can hopefully see your letters underneath the page. Pop open the brush side. Remember, we're still working from the brush side. If you want to know the color that I'm using in case you like it, this is number 126. It is a beautiful, like a light olive green. And I'm going to start with the P. Remember that? Light, hard, light. That's the first, that's that big long J. It's a nice curve. Now again, I've done the double curve here, and lucky you, if you can see through it, just go over that. Again, don't worry about light and hard pressure here. I'm going to use pretty much a lot of light pressure. And then when I come to here, I'm going to start giving it hard pressure. I just thought that would look good. And there you have your P. Are we there? I don't want to move too fast. Okay. Next are the shapes that we just learned. Half an entrance stroke, stop. Come right over here to make our E. Remember, anytime we go up, we use light pressure. Anytime we come down from the waistline, we use hard pressure. Watch, light pressure, hard pressure, and come out and stop. So this E turns into an entrance stroke here. So there's your half an entrance stroke for your A. I'm not thinking about an A. I just want to get through making an O. So I'm going to start quarter way down from the top of the waistline. I'm making a little line going to the left, light pressure. I'm going to use light pressure till I get right about here. I'm going to give it hard pressure, and then right about here, light pressure. Here we go. Let's just make an O. And there is our O. Right next to it, I'm going to put my underturn. Remember the underturn? Hard pressure and then light pressure, hard pressure, light pressure. So normally the underturn goes to the top, but because there's a C and there's a curve here, I'm only going to get a half an underturn. See that? So if I again went to the top, you'd have a full underturn, but I don't need it when I'm linking my letters together in a cursive style. Here's the C. Make that little ball. Light pressure going up, again to the left. Light pressure, I'm just thinking about making that part of an O that I learned. And there it is. There's the O, but now, oh, I'm going to go to the side. And you have a C. Right next to that, a little dot, just to remind me to move over a little bit. Light pressure, hard pressure, and then just finesse it a bit, however you want to move this around. So this is called flourishing. And that can be done, you know, just in a circular fashion. Okay, so did you do it? Yes? Okay, I'm going to move on then. So I used the 126 in my lighter green. Now I'm going to go to a slightly darker green. This is a 158. I'm going to pop it open on the brush marker side. Now I'm going to add my graffiti elements. Meanwhile, doesn't that look impressive that you can do that? Just that in and of itself looks lovely. But watch what we can do it to make it a true beautiful piece of art that you can frame and give to family, that you can reproduce for cards. Here we go. I'm thinking about for where I want to put these colors about halfway down the letter, because that's what the graffiti artist taught us. That they didn't put the shading all the way down. They did half the letter like it was sort of dipped. So watch, here I go, halfway down. Stop. Ooh, look what's happening. Top here, halfway down, stop. Halfway down, stop. Halfway down, stop. Oh yeah, things are happening. Halfway down, stop. Halfway down, stop. Well, what about over here? Should I do that too? Sure. Now we're getting into creativity and no right or wrong kind of thing, you know, with art. So that looks good, but I'm going to now close up my brush marker side and flip to the bullet nib side, because I think I just want to make a thin line or maybe even some circles. Yeah, I think I'm going to make a circle and then a line within my piece. I just think it'll look good. Dot and a line, dot and a line. So where did I get this notion that it would look good? Well, the graffiti artists. That's what they do. And they don't stop at the end of a line. You can add some little dots. I'm big on dots. Anyone that's worked with me before knows I'm just happy with the dots. So if there's a line here, like this letter ends, I'm like, oh no, it doesn't. Dots. Here we go. Happy dots, curvy dots. All I did was make a curly Q. Maybe you want to make a line that flourishes that way. You can't do it wrong at this point, guys. Okay, so now the next thing, if you guys got white gel pens or any gel pens at all, they are another element to Calligraffiti. Highlights. So I like to use, this is called the Uniball. It's by, here you go, Uniball Signo brand. Broad. It's broad. I guess it's nice and broad. So it's very thick and creamy. It's opaque. And if I put, again, I can put a dot and a line here. Oh, now we're adding other elements. So the other thing that graffiti artists do is they put little starbursts. So you can do that as well. But just putting a dot and a line will look good too. Or maybe you want to put hearts. I don't know. You can do whatever you want because you are the creator. Okay, so there I put a dot, a heart, a line, a dot, and dot. You really do not have to be an artist to do lettering. But if you are an artist, you know, go wild. I think I'll do some zigzaggies here and a little curve. Anything you want. Go back to dots, lines, dot, line, dot, line. Now, that looks good, but there's this other element we can add. I know you guys are probably still working, but I'm going to just demo this. This is a micron. A micron is a very thin monolined marker. It's wonderful because it's archival and it's waterproof. So it won't be waterproof right away. If you are a watercolor artist, as I am, I use it all the time. But I'll use it and then I'll wait, you know, at least 2 hours, and then I'll put my watercolors on top and it will not run. Okay, so they come in different sizes. This is an 03 here, which is mighty thin. And it'll say it on the top here. I don't know if you can see. Let me take this off. There it is, 03. But if you have an 02, an 08, they're all thin and they're all wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to uncap it and I'm going to add what I call dangles. So to make a dangle coming down from the word piece, my piece is on an angle. And I imagine yours is too. So see the top of the page, and this is on an angle going up. To make your dangles, you wouldn't make your dangles come to the side because that's not gravity. Gravity says, this is my straight line here. So my dangles, watch my finger come down, are going to come straight down. And in fact, I'm going to use a ruler to show you. I'm clipping a T-square ruler on the edge of the paper. And I'm pulling it. So now you can see this is on an angle going up, but these lines that I'm going to draw very randomly from the bottom of the letters, some are short, some are long, some I left a little skippy space because maybe I'll put a heart or a star or something there. And look what's happening. These lines come straight down. Let's see if you can see. Well, they're straight down. They're perpendicular to the top of my paper because of gravity. If I put them to the side, they look funny. You go, what's happening there? Okay. So now that I have these lines, let me show you how to add some character to them. So I left a little space here, and I think I'm going to put a heart. You don't have to, but maybe you want to. Maybe instead you want to put a little peace symbol. Maybe you want to write peace. I'm just going to tip my paper to the side and I'm going to write peace. So now I have peace dangling down. I just use my regular handwriting. It's looking good, but it doesn't look as fancy as the project that I showed you in the beginning. So let's add some dots. So if I start curving my dots around, all I did, the shape there is this. Okay, but you don't have to do that. Maybe you want to do a shape like this. That's fine too. Let's do that shape. If you do it all in dots, it just starts looking sparkly. Maybe you want to add a star. Maybe beneath the star, you want to add more dots. Well, go ahead. This is the part where I encourage you to just doodle. The more you doodle, the more beautiful this is going to be. And don't worry about doing it wrong. There's no right or wrong with art, and definitely not for this. So here I'm thinking I'm going to add a line here, and I am going to add some hearts. and maybe some dots. So I'm going to leave you to do that. You can watch while I work, but we're going to work on this part for a little bit. Any questions, just unmute. Oops, I'm out of frame. What's happening now is we're giving it a lot of life, aren't we? It's not just a word on the page. The word says something, and it's lovely to look at. You can do this with all of your lettering. I'm just adding some leaves here and maybe some berries. And I haven't even started adding more color. So again, to go over it, the Calligraffiti elements are, of course, learning the cursive hand. Then on top of it, adding some shading. On top of that, adding some filigree or some embellishment inside the letters. And then the highlights with the white. So there is one element that we haven't done. And so again, this one's a little, I usually take a few classes to teach this one, but it really, you may get it so fast, you may be able to apply it to your own work. What I'm trying to say is that the Calligraffiti artists now make it look three-dimensional. And the way they do that is by adding shading underneath the letters. It looks like a big shadow is coming across the page. So what I'm showing you here is an N95. That means it's a neutral and it's a gray. And I love a super pale gray to make this happen. People often ask, well, I don't know, how do you know where to put the shadows? And so I always tell them that I had a really good teacher who taught me, put the sun on the corner of your page, because the sun is a source of light. And when the sun beams down and hits an object, the shadow would of course go on the other side because the object is blocking the light. For example, I have a light here, right up above that's lighting my page. If I put my hand here, what do you see? Shadow. Because the light comes down, hits my hand as the object, so the shadow falls underneath it. It's the same thing here. When light comes and hits an object, so watch. Here comes the light, bunk, hits an object. So the shadow goes on the other side. Same thing here. This is the object. Shadow goes on the other side. Here comes the sun, bunk, shadow goes on the other side. Here's an object, shadow on the other side. Wow, now it's starting to pop, right? Here comes the light. Hits the object, so the shadow goes on the other side all the way down. And actually it would be a little tiny one there. Shadow would be where? This side or this side? This side or this side? This side, because the light hits here. So really, if you forget, it's sort of like writing the letter P again, just to the side, just like, 1/8 of an inch to the side. Here we go. Shadow goes right there. Sun, shadow, sun, shadow, sun, shadow, sun, shadow, sun, shadow, sun, shadow, all the way across. And it really does make a difference. That's a lot to learn in an hour. So at this point, I want to just pause for a moment. Do you have any questions? I'm going to put you on gallery view for a second. While your heads are down. That's so nice. You're all working. Good. All right, keep working. I'm just going to grab, I think, red.
Helen, I have a question.
Yeah?
The
Who's talking?
shadow gray, what number was that again?
Oh, wait, Susan, is that you?
Yes.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
It's number N95. It's the
Okay.
palest of the Tombow grays. There are other grays. If you get an N75, that's pretty light too. But if
Okay.
you get, so it's the higher the number, the lighter the color.
Okay.
So if you get like an N, I don't know, 45, it's going to be pretty dark gray. And I feel that interferes with the sensitive way we're trying to treat our letter forms, right? I don't want it to look so harsh next to my lettering. All right, so
Right.
I just pulled, yes, you good?
Yes, that sounds good because I know I have one that's too dark and I don't like the way it looks when it's shadowed.
Right, N95 is your best
Okay.
friend.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So guys, I just pulled out a red one because I'm thinking my piece might look nice with some little berry dots. I don't know why. I really don't question my artistic impulses. They seem to work for me, so I'm just going to go with it. So I think I'm going to encourage that for you too, to have a playful spirit and not to worry about, oh, it's got to look perfect the first time out. And what is perfect anyway, right? It's exploring things that makes us brave and really is the source of our happiness. You just have to be brave and you have to go, all right, so that didn't work out. When I first started watercolor, I thought everything had to be like a masterpiece. And then I was like, oh, this is so silly. What am I putting all that pressure on myself for? Right? I love to see you're all concentrated. It's good. Are you having fun, I hope? So I have added, so if you're going to talk about in terms of color, what we're looking at in this piece, I have two greens, I have a gray, I have red, and I have black. That's a nice color combination for me anyway. It looks kind of wintry, it looks kind of peace-ish, but say I wanted to add some yellow stars, could I? Well, yes, you could, because there's no one to tell you no, it's your artistry. So I'm actually going to take, this is a yellow artist loft. It's a pale yellow, and I'm just going to draw some very pale stars around here. And in your, there's a yellow star here, right? That'll look good. Yeah, now we're really starting to make a more fully realized art piece. Lovely, I'm happy. I hope you're happy. So with this star here, I think I'm going to make it shine out. And here's what I mean. I'm going to go to the tip. I'll draw it in so you can see my star. Okay, there's my star. Now I'm going to take at each end, I'm going to start just making lines coming straight out, radiating to the side. Because I just think that'll look good. And guess what? It does. And your lines you can also add straight lines to it. I was doing a lot of dotting, but now I'm just striking the paper and making it look shinier. It's not even a word. I know. Shiny, like it's shining out into the night. Here I made some of these curvy lines. I'm making it around this star as well. Oh, can you see that? So guys, I know the hour went quickly. I'm going to flip my camera around so we can talk. And if you have any questions at all, I want you to ask me. If you've forgotten what we talked about today, I hope I'm allowed to tell you. I do this in the greater good. I don't sell anything, but I do have an Instagram account. It is public. I'm going to put it up here. My email is there also if you have a calligraphic emergency. Not sure I'm allowed to give you that either, but again, I won't contact you. That's if you want to contact me. But on my Instagram, where I'm at Helen Inc., I make little tiny videos so that my students can remember how to make the shapes that I teach them. So I'm also a cartoonist. I know I'm an overachiever, but you know, there you go. So this is called the Underturn. There's a little video on that. There's a little video on making the compound curve. So if you are interested, it is a public account. It is perfectly safe for children as well. If you have children in your home who want to learn calligraphy, I have also, I use the pointed pen nib, which is actually the same thing as I explained to you that you're doing. This teaches us more the fancy copper plate, but you'll see if I press this down, you see how that opens up? That's how we get our thick line. With your brush, you're just pressing down and you get your thick line. With this very fancy instrument, you get your thick line by pressing down on it. Same thing though. And this is the gateway, sorry, to this, to learning true copperplate calligraphy. And if you learn this, you can have a very thriving business. You can, you can do invitations, certificates, there's all kinds of things you can do. This we're having fun with though. Okay, so I'll leave that there one more second. And now I'm going to flip my camera around. This is always like a big moment for me because I'm technically challenged. So don't look down at the monitor because it's going to wibble around for a minute. Oops, I just lost you guys. Are you there? Switch camera. Okay, did it work? Yes, I'm here. That's the scariest part for me. So here I am live, not in my booth and more than just my fingers. Let me just put on the gallery view so I can see you. Hi. Oh, you're smiling at me. Hi. Oh, you look like little children. You're like, hi. Lovely. Okay, questions, comments, please unmute yourselves. Let's talk. Oh, you're shy. Okay, everyone's like,
thank you, Helen.
Looking at me.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any actions about, sorry, Luann, what?
I don't know how you do that so fast.
Was it too fast though?
No, it wasn't, but I'm like, okay, I'm still making my tangles.
I know it is.
It takes me a long time.
Yes, and guys, actually it should. Because if you were taking out any artistic discipline, you don't learn it in an hour. Rome was not built in a day, but it gives you such an introduction and it gets you confident that you can move that quickly and get some sort of, I don't know, product. But yes, you do need to practice. You're taking up the violin, you'd be practicing your scales, ballet, football, you know, it takes time to teach your body, your hand especially. I always say, sorry, go ahead. What? Someone was talking and then they were not. Okay.
She's on mute. Christine, you're on mute.
Oh.
Ah, there we go.
Okay. So what was your question or comment?
No, I didn't. It wasn't actually me. It must have been someone else.
Oh. Okay.
Helen,
Well, yes.
hi, it's Lorraine. Hi. I just want to tell
Lorraine.
you, I did this in pointed pen today, and it's because of you that I learned how to do this.
I am so proud of you, Lorraine.
Can I show you?
Let me see. Oh, guys, look up at Lorraine. Well done. Yes.
I only had 2 colors of ink, so I just
Good
did
job.
it, and then I used some markers, but I'm
Yes.
practicing my pointed pen. Not easy.
Yes. Good. No, I'm delighted to hear it. So guys, what Lorraine is saying is there's crossover to other writing instruments that you can use to create this letter form. And the earliest one that we know of is the quill. So the quill is, you know, it's a feather and comes from a bird. And that's what Shakespeare wrote with. And that's what Jane Austen wrote with. I mean, just think of your history. That's what they were using. The Constitution was penned with a quill. And then we came up with modern instruments. So this is the Oblique Pen Holder, which has a, that's called a Nico G steel nib in it. And this is great. And then they came up with the Tambo Funosuke, which we are so pleased to have because this is a marker that makes thin and thick lines very small, just like this does, and we don't have to dip it in ink. And then what you experienced today with the Tombow brush marker. There is a world of joy in discovering the lettering arts and the things that you can do with letters. And remember, guys, the power of the pen, the written word, you know, or even the spoken word written down, that's where it's at. Words are very important and powerful. So we are, guys, I know I'm lecturing. I know we're texting and typing, and we are grateful for that. But getting back to the power of the pen, good idea. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm so glad you're here.
Helen, will you be doing more tutorials through the library?
I'm going to ask the library if they will have me again. Of course, I'd be happy to.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Helen?
So, yes.
Hi, it's Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, the only one comment I had is I bought I don't know, a multicolored pen set.
Yes.
I do wish I had two closer colors like you did.
Yes.
So maybe you want to put that in your notes if you can, buy two
Yes.
colors that are close together.
Very smart. And Cynthia, to help you now for what you have, one of the capabilities of the Tombows, did you get a multi-set, like about 10 pieces, 9 or 10 pieces? So you can let one layer dry. Say you're using this blue. This is blue number 443. And it comes out a certain shade. Let it dry just a minute or two and go over it again for the top part. It will start to build up. It's just like watercolor. They're really amazing writing instruments. So, and you can build it up that way. The other thing is, you know, for you now, I don't know what other colors you have there. You can experiment. Say you have a blue like this, but say you want to hit it with a green. Try it. It could make a very beautiful result.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you for your comments.
Thank you so much.
You're
That was
very
a lot of
welcome.
fun.
Good. Anyone else? Comments? Questions?
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Helen.
You're
Bye.
very welcome, guys.
Thank you,
Bye.
Helen.
Thank you.
You're
Bye.
welcome.
Thank you
Have a
so
lovely
much.
holiday. Thank you for coming. Keep practicing.
Bye-bye.
Happy holiday.
You too. Bye.
Bye.